So, today I have a topic that I have titled Who Will Tell My Story? Our stories, our voices, our truth. This number that you can see on your screen is the current world population as at Wednesday, the 22nd of April, 2026. That's about 8.3 billion. So I want us to do something. I want you to raise your hand, your right hand. Now put down all your fingers apart from this one. Yeah? Now the finger is facing me. I want you to face you. Now look at that finger. You're looking at your finger? Hope you watch the finger. Yeah? Good. Look at that finger. Now I want you to look at the finger of the person next to you. Yeah? So and then you look at their finger, they would look at your finger. Look at it. Yeah. So somebody else, give someone else your finger to look at. Yeah. Whilst you look at their finger. Yeah? Pretty much looks the same, right? Okay, well, the same sort of features, if we're being honest here. I know that the person that was shouting because the person next to you bites their fingernail, have you? So, but pretty much it's a finger, right? But in here holds the biggest differences to you. Out 8.3 billion people, and no two people have the same fingerprints at all. And that shows that each person is intensely unique. There's no one that can take your finger and impersonate you in the world. Yeah? One of my favorite sayings is from Shakespeare, and he says, "To thine own self be true." So even if you didn't want to be true to yourself, you can never ever be anybody else because of this. You were already made very, very different. So that's a big step to knowing who you are. If you don't tell your story, somebody else will. And they might tell that exactly do justice. So that's why you have to be the one to tell your story. I'll give you an example. There's a TV show that I like. I don't want to say the name, but it's a TV show about a woman. It's a Hollywood TV show. She's I think in Boston or something like that. And then she meets this man. She's a Nigerian nurse. She meets this man. Oh, I didn't say the name. If you say the name, it's up to you. And she meets him, and the Nigerian accents in that show is so bad. So bad. But that is somebody else telling our story. And they will tell it how they want to. I have never heard a Nigerian that used to talk like this before. But somehow they think that Nigerians talk like this somehow. I don't know why. And that is because somebody else is telling our story. And they will never tell it well because they haven't walked a mile in our... Yep. So we need our stories to be able to break stereotypes. I was talking to my mom, and mommy, I'm going to beat you up now, Sha. So I was talking to my mom, and she said that she used to think that Indian men were weak. And I was wondering, why would you say that? She said because they're always doing, and they're always dancing and things like that, So, but justice for the men, you can dance and not be weak. Yeah. So, but she's like, but that's because that is what has been portrayed to us. We may never really meet an Indian man in life. You might just walk past an Indian man now and again, but you may never really have that close interaction with them. But television defines sometimes what you think they are. When I think, and which is wrong, when I think of Latinas, sometimes I think of gardeners. I think of maids. I remember an interview, Eva Longoria. It's a very old show called Desperate Housewives. And she was, yeah. If you notice in the first few episodes, they were always playing Latina music every time she or her husband came on. And she had to tell them, please don't do that because I don't want cultural misappropriation. Because when you see certain people, because of how things have been portrayed, they are usually, so Latinas are usually maids or gardeners or things like that. So usually, what's the thing that Hollywood says that Nigerians are? And that's because that's what's been portrayed. I can't tell you how many shows I hear. I got an email from a Nigerian prince. It's over and over again. That's why we have to be the ones to show people what we want to see. And this is just now not in film, but what you show people is what they see. Yeah? Very important. Nigerian films, music, fashion are, in my opinion, one of Nigeria's greatest exports. Some people don't even know that Nigeria has oil. They have no idea that Nigeria has oil. But if you start singing a Nigerian song, say, "Oh, I know it. That's whiskey, whiskey." Yes, yes. They have no idea, and I'm guessing oil is our greatest export to some extent. Oil is at least our greatest resource. But some people they know our films, they know our music, they know our fashion. Obviously, I would use To Kill a Monkey, obviously. Yeah, but that is one of the best projects out of Nollywood, in my opinion, and in your opinion too, it is one of the best. I've made your opinion up for you. So, and we have, these are possibly my two favorite pop artists, Davido and Tiwa Savage. They are known worldwide. They have won Grammys. They know about our fashion. Vicky James is known all over the world, and like, I think I look amazing, don't I? This is a Nigerian designer called Shorts and Hats. This is Adire, and it is so beautiful. Although my father saw me wearing it and asked me if I was wearing a skirt, but that's a story for another day. About this is skirts. Yeah? So, but our fashion, our music, it is our greatest export. That's why we need to define what exactly we put in them so that we can put it on the map. And people can stop seeing us as the Nigerian prince. Now, being different is amazing, but how different can you actually be when I had just told you that there's 8.3 billion people in the world? How different can you really be? You start thinking, oh, maybe the only way I can be different is if I develop a mop that can maybe make coffee and a broom that can also be a rocket. Not necessarily. Sometimes it's embracing what's already there right in front of you. We know these two brands, Amazon, Uber. Yeah? What do you know them as? Amazon is the largest online retailer, and Uber is the largest taxi hailing company in the world. And that is how much they made last year. The largest online retailer doesn't own one product. Everything on Amazon is not really owned by them. Recently, they started producing things, but they became big without having a supermarket, without owning a product. People just put the products there already. Uber only started getting cars recently. They never had a car. They just got you to bring your car to them, and they became the biggest. How can you become the biggest at something without owning something? That is because they saw what was right in front of them, what would give them the least amount of capital expenditure and operating expenditure, and they ran with it, and look at how much money they're making. So sometimes embracing your difference doesn't mean you going somewhere far and wide. Yeah? Language. Language is the identity of a people. It was such a vibe before to say, I can't really, when I was in secondary school, I don't know, we looked at people that could speak Yoruba as Raz and things like that. Yeah, you're so Raz, you're so Ibotic, Now I would give anything to speak a language. I think that's why I went to learn how to speak sign language, because I want to speak something. I can't imagine how many roles I would have gotten if I knew how to speak Igbo, if I knew how to speak Hausa. So when they give me a script and they're like, oh, you're playing Tomiwa, I pick up my phone and call my Yoruba friends. I beg, how do I say this? Okay, Maki Belorimi. Okay, all right, thanks, bye. I've got it. And that's how I portray it. But if I knew how to speak these things, so don't let anybody shame into taking your identity away from you. It's a great way to represent yourself and who you are. All right, who is this man? Hey, don't bite your tongue. Mhm. Who is he? Let me hear it again. Who is that? Milubita Younger? Uh-huh. Who is this? These are all very unique names, right? But the whole world knows it. They didn't have to change who they were. People told Arnold Schwarzenegger that no one is ever going to be able to pronounce this name, but people pronounced that name, and he even became the governor of California, I think. Yes. And everybody in the world, you know the name. You know Lupita Nyong'o. You know Chimamanda, before I bite my mouth, Chimamanda Adichie. You know each and every single one of them. And you know them because they stuck to their identity. They didn't change a thing about themselves. And they decided to portray that to the world. So now I want every single one of us to rise here. Rise. Yes. And you're going to repeat after me. You are going to say, with one hand up, I, your full government name. Full Tino, no hide anything. Let's go again. I, Michael Onome Ejoor, will not dim my lights for anybody. I will express with confidence, and the world would learn my full government name. Thank you very much. You can sit.